Hello again, my internet friends. Welcome to another episode of the Listen to Your Parents podcast. This is Matt here in Pittsburgh, and we'll bring on our guest here in a moment. But first, I want to take a moment, as we sometimes forget to do, to thank our good friends at Sorgatron Media and Sidekick Media Services for pushing the buttons and making it all happen. So please go to sorgatronmedia.com, check out the fine family of podcasts, and subscribe to this one, because we are back after a week off. And I will explain what we did with our week off in a few moments here. Some of you may like this or not. We'll see. But first, let's bring in our friend, Doug. Welcome back, Doug.
What's up? Doug from Dormant. Dormant. Doug from Dormant. From Drinking Dads.
What do we have it tonight, Doug?
Just doing all day IPA since I gotta keep the session beers going, since I gotta log in early in the morning. So
sorry to report that I'm merely drinking a Coca-Cola in a cup right now, but
Coca-Cola.
Maybe that'll be remedied. Maybe I can get my child to fetch me something a little bit more aggressive from the fridge here at some point. I do have something in here.
I'll bite into it.
Yeah. So what's new out there in Dormont? It's been a little while since we got to hang out with you. How are things settling in? The summer's been weird. The post-school year has been a strange experience. At least here in our house. How are you feeling?
Well, we've been given 5 different options of what could possibly happen the first day of school. And no one knows which of those 5 we're going to get. We've started to order uniforms and stuff to get ready. It's nuts, because I had said to the kids today, I'm like, look, you might have to stay home in the fall and do what we did in the spring. And they kind of had that sense of dread come over their face.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much that they didn't like that Daddy was teaching them, but they really miss their friends, and they miss their teachers. They miss sports. Like, how do you explain this to a little kid? Like, what's going on? I mean, you can't even explain it to adults. So
yeah,
it's been interesting. We've talked to some of the neighbors, and some of their friends too have been by. And they all seem to say the same thing. Like, we don't know what's going to go on, because everyone goes to different schools. Because we're right by the border of Lebo and Brookline and Green Tree and all that. So their friends are from all the different areas. They're like, we don't know. We have no clue. And today, I didn't see the announcement, but I was told from several parents that Governor Wolf had threatened to cancel school for the upcoming year, which... At that point, I wanted to curl into a ball, grab a bottle of something, and just cry at the possibility of him saying it right now. Like,
yeah,
there's no like emotional or mental support for any of this right now, because nobody knows what's going on, and we're trying to hold it together. But it's going along. I'm curious to see what the curriculum is going to be. I mean, we'll do whatever we have to do. The most important thing is the kids are safe. And I'm hoping that everyone's employers are as flexible as possible.
Yeah.
For what's going to be happening, because we're entering a new phase, and who knows, it could change. They could go back to school, and then 2 days into it, somebody comes down with it, and now everyone's back home again.
Yeah, and I think that's what. I mean, I don't think anybody wants that.
No.
I'd rather see the safe, not sorry approach to this, but there is that side of things where your kids are, going stir crazy and missing their friends and just wanting to be around other kids. And you get to this, you kind of reach this point in the summer, and like whenever we were wrapping up the school year a couple months ago, the message to the kids was a lot of, this is, kind of sucked, I know, but look, we're going to get through the summer, and then we're going to come back in the fall, and hopefully things will be back to normal. And now you're looking at this thing and you're just like, it's probably not going to be back to normal. So now you got to prep your kids emotionally for that, and kind of start when they start talking about going back to school, and you got to be kind of, might not happen. I know I promised you this. I mean, there are people, I was just checking the chatter on the social media before we came on here and listened to people start talking about, how am I going to explain to the kids that we're not going to have Halloween this year? And I'm like, that's just a few months away. That's probably going to be a thing.
And it depends on the age of the kids too, because if you say that and your kids are in their teens, that's different than, you've got like a 4 or 5-year-old who, they're trying to understand what's going on. You've got to be very cognizant of, of how they process things.
Yeah.
On how to explain what's happening. And there's no resources out there for us to say, like, here's how you talk to the kids about it. Like, we don't get this magical, I think I mentioned before, we don't get this magical book that says, here's how you're the parent. Here's all your answers. Like, a lot of us fly by the seat of our pants and figure it out.
Yeah.
And besides the missing of their friends thing, like, I understand that's where my kids are thinking. In my head and with other parents, we've said, how is this going to impact their learning? Like, I joked and said, yeah, right now there's a bunch of day drinkers teaching school. Because, because we're not qualified by any means to be teachers when it comes to some of this curriculum. Like, we don't know styles and how to handle a lot of this stuff. Like, I'll do as best as I can. But when you think about it, like, I'm really concerned about how the kids are going to learn, especially those that don't have access to the internet or limited access to the internet. Yeah, and that's a serious problem that faces a lot of this country too.
Yeah. It's definitely something the districts are going to have to address. I've heard different things about how that's been going too, but most of the districts seem to be aware that the technology gap is something that's got to be bridged. I mean, as far as the teaching goes, my experience has been, as long as the kids kind of have some grasp of the material that they're trying to learn, I could sit there and help them through it and reinforce and get them, to get the work done. The real speed bump comes when you run into something that you have to explain to the children. You have to make this concept make sense to them. That's where the problems, occur. So it's like, how do we get, I could sit at home and I can make the kids do this work knowing that the teachers have done, weeks and months of groundwork to get us to that point. That's what the end of the last school year kind of was. It was us just kind of like, okay, teachers, you got them this far. Give us the work. We're going to get them across the finish line, and then we'll get back together in the fall. Now we're looking at the fall, and we're like, we got to start the ground level, and we got to start to level up our children. And, your parents are kind of like, I don't know if I'm sure. How am I going to, how do I get my kids from, doing addition and subtraction to doing multiplication and division? How do I get my kids from, one syllable, 3-letter words to, the next thing that they're going to have to progress up to? How do I get them to the next level? Yeah. That's what you need the teacher for. And, as a parent, we're blunt instruments, we just like, do the thing, do it again, repeat, drill. We can't, we're not going to finesse these concepts, because we don't have to do, nobody has to do this.
There's a reason why these teachers have advanced degrees to be as good as they are, because people like me, I don't have the patience anymore. At one point, I'm sure I had the patience, but after the last 4 months, no, like it's going to be difficult. Now, I am a big history buff. I studied, I had like a minor going in English in college, so we're good with that. I'm pretty good with math, and we could do home ec. The other stuff, though, we're going to be relying on YouTube if we have to, and we all know YouTube videos are legit. Besides this one, I mean, we're the most real thing on there. Yeah, but I do have a subscription to Masterclass, though, and there are some really good courses on there that we've started watching. Unfortunately, they're all geared towards adults, so I can't. Yeah. I mean, if my kids want to learn how to play guitar, like Rage Against the Machine, like Tom Morello or Carlos Santana, then hey, they're golden. Or Sheila E. can teach them how to play drums, and we've also got Aaron Franklin can teach them how to make brisket. So, they can pick up some good life skills there. But overall, I prefer that they had that one-on-one interaction, so they're not sitting there in front of a screen the whole time. We're slowly turning into, or quickly actually turning into like Ready Player One. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I'd even like prefer to see them doing more like just get all the guys. They did this a little bit, toward the end of the school year where they would get the kids together like once a week. They would all jump into the Zoom meeting and do something like that. I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that teacher and just like the faked environment of a classroom, even if it's just, a dozen windows with other kids in it,
Well, we had Zoom meetings every day, which was nice. But the problem was when it came down to like my youngest, there was a lot of, hey Johnny, turn your mic on. Your mic's muted. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Sally, you're muted. Okay. Turn the camera back on. Okay. Get your finger away from the camera. Okay. Now, hey, everyone stop talking at once. Because some use Zoom, some use Google Classroom. Like they're on so many different technologies. And we found out like the Chromebooks that the school had that, thankfully we had enough. They were older ones and they couldn't run most of the video conferencing stuff, even Google's. They couldn't run Google Meet.
Yeah.
Like it was tough, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with that?
Yeah, it's a little freaked out. Okay, I said I was going to explain where I was last week. The wife and I and our kids, we left town. We went on a little bit of a vacation, if you will. We went to Erie, Doug. But
that's right.
Erie is Erie with the parents with her parents for more than a day or so can get a little bit dicey. Her folks don't have a ton of room. So we thought, you know what, let's see if we could make this a little bit extra special. Let's see if we can have some fun. So we checked into things and we got a hotel for 2 days in Erie, Pennsylvania, down along the bayfront. Swimming pool and all. There was a little,
ask which hotel it was.
No, I'm going to leave them out of it. But suffice to say, it was nice. It was really nice. And staff was nice. And I'm just going to kind of go through just kind of some of the things we experienced while we were there. One thing that we did see during our 3-day, 2-night stay at this lovely Erie hotel. No housekeeping while we were there. They don't do any housekeeping while guests are staying in the room. They wait until you move out, then housekeeping comes in, and then they redo the room and they let you out. Obviously, if you specifically ask, hey, can you send housekeeping to my room to do XYZ, they will do it. But the standard procedure at the hotel that we were at, and this is probably becoming industry-wide if it isn't already, no housekeeping while there are guests, staying in the room. They wait until you move out. Now, another thing, this was the big draw for the hotel. I mean, my kids, obviously they live very sheltered lives because they think staying in a hotel is just the coolest thing ever. Like we've gone on road trips to different places. Doug, there's this one very legendary trip we made when many years ago we drove out to Columbus to see the zoo. We stayed overnight in a Red Roof Inn. Our children were thrilled to be at the Red Roof Inn, thrilled at the giant bed to share. Yeah, just like, wow, we're at the Red Roof Inn. This place is great. Look at us staying in this bed. We're having so much fun. They think hotels are very cool. And you know what? They are cool. And this one had the advantage of having a swimming pool, Doug. Our kids love to swim. One more than the other, but bottom line, they both love to hang out at the pool. So we figured, hey, let's see what's going on with this swimming pool. The general rule when you're dealing with swimming pools is that it's basically, it's okay. We checked, the CDC guidance and everything like that. They said, hey, if you're in the pool, don't worry about the mask. Go in the pool, swim around. Don't go rolling up on everybody that you see. Still try to keep your distance. And so, Jen and I looked at it like, I think we can manage this. We'll see how the crowds are looking. The crowds were okay. They had an indoor pool and an outdoor pool. We tried to stick mostly to the outdoor pool, but every once in a while, one of the kids would want to try the indoor pool because, it did have the hot tub next to it. Kids love to roast themselves in a hot tub. It's a big fun experience. Do your kids like to jump in the hot tub when they go to the pool?
They've never been
up for you. Okay.
They've never been in a hot tub. We've been in plenty of pools. Okay. And I'm afraid one of them's going to try to cannonball and break their butt.
Yeah. Well,
a hot tub or something like that.
I mean, we do. I mean, maybe my kids would try the same thing. I try to get out in front of it and just be like, just don't head first into the hot tub.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they had the mask deal that basically was, okay, don't worry about wearing the mask when you're in the pool, just keep your distance. Okay, we can do that. So we go to the pool. Yes, we were able to do that. Even the kids were pretty good about that. a little reminder here and there. Everyone, when you go to the pool, you see other kids. The kids want to say hi to the other kids, so you just try to, just kind of nudge them in that direction. Just remember, give everybody space. Our kids have done pretty well with that overall. When you're outside of the pool, and just kind of like hanging out in your deck chair, the recommendation was that you wear your mask, but like seriously, it was not something that was happening a lot. But people were kind of spaced, So even though you're outside of the pool, and they recommended that you keep your mask on, typically that would not happen because either you were just taking a break and out of the pool for a few minutes and you're going to jump back in, or you were deciding that you had just completely forgotten. And this happened to me a lot too, where I just blanked on, having the mask with me. So there's a lot of leaving the room, doubling back, going back, getting the mask, So I just would always keep forgetting. But the point is that I would go back and get it eventually anyways.
I have to know.
Otherwise, outside the pool area, it was just, keep your mask on whenever you're moving about the hotel. So when you leave your room, put on your mask, walk around, everything like that. That was not a problem. We kept the mask on, leave the room, get the kids, put your mask on, go wherever you're going to go. So you leave your hotel room, you put your mask on, you wear your mask through the hotel corridors until you reach the pool, and then you take off your mask and you jump in the water and you're on your way.
Now, the big question is, while you're up there, did you see any of the masks that said "Don't give up the ship"? Because I'm sure somebody is trying to make money off that by now.
I would hope so, but unfortunately, I did not have the opportunity.
Either that, or I could see a mask.
There were not many street vendors out and about down there at this time of year, which you would you'd be a little surprised to hear that. But
I'm going to coin this right now, so Sork could get on Cafe Press or Vistaprint or any of these other ones. We need to get one that says, "This mask is irresistible." Oh, bringing back the tagline from the 80s. It's irresistible.
Oh, it is irresistible. That would be a good one, too. Hang on. I think my wife's going to jump in here and share some more.
Because she probably remembers that.
Oh, yeah. My wife, she's eerie to the core. So they don't come any more eerie than my wife, but you were just overhearing our conversation about our little hotel visit.
I am.
So what did you think of our experience at the hotel?
It didn't feel like I was in Erie.
Yeah, that's one thing too. How about
honestly, it did not feel like I was in
It was
Erie.
way too nice to be Erie. Well, we're down the Bayfront. That's where all the they built a new convention center down there. We're down near the Dobbins Landing. But it was nice for a deal where you're not going to get an actual vacation this year. This felt, even though it was only 2 days, 3 days, 2 nights in a hotel in Erie, this felt like, like we had gone to like some all-inclusive resort or something like that. It felt great to just be somewhere nice.
It really was the cheapest vacation ever.
It was pretty cheap vacation.
Well, we had thought about going up there this year, and the kids had asked, like, can we please go to Waldemere finally? I'm like, you know what? You guys are finally big enough that you could go on all the rides. We will go to Waldemere. And this was, in January. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, sorry, guys. You're going to have to wait just a little bit longer. I go, but we could still go up and see Grandma. And they're like, yeah. But same thing, like, there's not a lot of room up there. Like, there's not a lot to do. I'm like, well, most of Erie's kind of closed.
Yeah.
So if you want to go see where all the places where Daddy used to hang out, we could go do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have to say that since your hotel had not room service, but you had cleaning crew there, and they had a swimming pool. It is obviously none of the hotels I ever partied at as a kid.
Yeah,
or as a teenager, because they did not have either one of those. Manor Motel, but.
Is that down to the Knights Inn? What was that? Oh
wow, that's what used to be across from Prep.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like, for the most part, I felt like we were in a pretty safe environment. Like I said, like the pool definitely gave me pause before I went. But after reading up on it, checking the usual experts, at least made me feel good about as far as the kids being in the pool, that it wouldn't cause too much calamity. But yeah, like we were not going to be going to the zoo or the water park or anything like that. That was just that's asking too much. I mean, the reason to be up there was to, to see our parents. And then we did end up growing even further north. We went all the way up to Buffalo and just hung out with my cousins and their kids.
So did you negotiate the naming rights to the stadium since was it New Era or whatever gave up? Is it going to be the Sorgatron Media Arena Stadium? Sorgatron Stadium?
I mean, I made the offer. Sorg, I don't know. Do we have that $7 million in the Patreon account yet? We should by now. So, I mean, that was the offer. We'll see if they take it.
We could have a slice on Broadway in every corridor.
No, I tell you what, that would be a good thing to do. We get the naming rights for Sorgatron Media, and then put the slice on Broadway in every concourse, so everyone in Buffalo is eating pizza.
But they can't start charging us for the naming rights until there's actually a game there. So if we can get the name on it right now, so it at least makes it into the video game rotation, it already paid for itself.
Yeah, you got to get that, and then do you fight for the games, or do you fight over when they get the fans in there? Because I mean, from what I was hearing, were they gonna? Well, I mean that's a little bit ways down.
Well, that's when we have the clause in there that we could leave the deal at any time, so that right before it starts, we can bail, and we've already been in the video.
The sweet sounds of on Madden 21 of Sorgatron Media Field.
Super Bowl from Sorgatron Arena.
That's Texas.
I approve. Another thing that we did while we were in Erie is this is the first time we've done this. We walked down to one of the restaurants that were set up with outdoor seating down near the dock down there in downtown Erie. And yes, we did eat outdoors at an actual restaurant, which is a first since the lockdown began back in March now?
March 13th.
March 13th. Oh my God, 13th. You got it marked.
That's why I started working from home.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I mean, the seating was very limited. Everything was outside.
I felt like we were 12 feet away from any other table.
That's it was very, very limited.
It was extra distanced.
But it was nice.
Yeah, it was fun.
I have to give Erie credit. Everything that I've heard so far is that they've done a really good job up there of the social distancing. Besides a few outbreaks, which were kind of expected, in general, the businesses and the people have been pretty respectful of what you're supposed to do.
And you even see you see a lot of and I don't see much of this in Pittsburgh. I see it in Erie, where you'll see the local television stations up there running, locally produced PSAs, basically telling people, make sure you wear your mask and stuff like that. I've never seen a local station in Pittsburgh run something like that, but in Erie they were. So I mean, it kind of helps to make everyone feel hopefully makes everyone feel like they're, in it together. We're all a big team here, right, Doug?
Well, I was watching some of the, or not the YouTube, but the Facebook live feeds of the Erie networks when they were popping up. It was all this breaking news, and it was the same reporter going to different locations saying they're, of course, on her phone. So let me get the the Facebook live thing going on here. So she's like, there's a possibility someone may or may not have COVID here. Stay tuned at 5, and we're going to tell you more about it. And then she go to another location. I'm like, oh my God. This is, and of course, from being up there, they're all 22, 23.
Yeah, we can
doing that.
I mean, do you want to have a discussion about the quality of Erie news? I mean, I've said some things. There's a lot of good people up there who know what they're doing, but there's also some people. And look, this is the nature of the industry. When you're dealing with local news, and believe me, you're dealing with it, a little bit here in Pittsburgh as well. Maybe not in front of the camera, but behind the camera. But up in Erie, you're getting it in front of the camera and behind the camera. People fresh out of college, first jobs, just learning about this. And then you take these kids, fresh out of school, and you drop them into this, so you're not covering the municipal meeting, on a Thursday night. No, you're covering the COVID-19 pandemic first gig out of the door. That's a big challenge.
If Loco Bone could do all the intros to this, it would be something like, pandemic 2020. And like flames going up. It would be like a wrestling intro. Between like wrestling and like the world of like Sunday, COVID-19.
And somehow would still feel understated for what's happening all around us. There's no amount of explosions or drama to properly convey 2020 in a nutshell. But
I do have to say, though,
keep trying.
The best hair ever in Erie News was Don Shriver in the 80s.
Don Shriver?
He had the best hair. He was like, I thought everybody was supposed to look like him.
My first gig in TV news was in Erie, PA. I worked at that station. I shared a newsroom with Don Shriver for a few months before he jumped ship. And but that's another story. So he did what he had to do. He got paid. So that's
on my honeymoon. We went to St. Lucia, and the first morning there, I turn on the news. I'm like, all right, I want to see what the weather is. Once you know it, it's Joey Stevens. Because for whatever reason, they had the Caribbean forecast from WSCE in Erie. I'm like, you've got to be freaking kidding me! I can't get away.
Sure how I try to remember the reason why that happens, because I've been down there. I've gone on one cruise, and that happened. We were watching, one of the stations was Erie, and it's got something to do with the amount of network programming that they run or something like that. I think
Erie was the lowest bidder.
Maybe, I don't know. Hey. maybe like they bounce their broadcast signal off the lake and it skips all the way across the continent and lands in the Caribbean, something like that.
Well, I actually called my mom that morning, and I'm like, "You are not going to believe what I'm watching right now." I called both my parents, and I played it for them. And my dad's like, "Is that Joey Stevens?" I'm like, "Yes." And he's just like, I don't know what to tell you. He kind of left it at that. So I have video of it. I took video of like that, and then I went out to our balcony and went, there's the ocean. There's Joey Stevens. What world am I living in right now?
I can't escape it.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, so that's the story of my pseudo vacation, basically. Buffalo was pretty uneventful. We just hid in our cousin's house. We've had our mini bubbles pretty well locked down for a while. But the hotel, it was what it was. I'm glad, that we got out of the house for a little bit. It did feel like a nice break. I'm not going to go running out to go and book another hotel room and just start, running around all over the place. But, for a midsummer break, it was, I think it was okay. I think we did all right.
A break like that is what a lot of people need, though. Like, it doesn't have to be very far. You got to get out of where you're at.
Yeah.
And we've talked about going camping. And we've talked to the campground, and they've told us all the stuff that they have in place so that they like the restrooms that are available there. I believe like most of them are closed except for one, and they're like hell bent on making sure that those things stay clean. There is a pool that's close by, but they're like, for the most part, like you can come in, set up, and camping is like the ultimate social distancing thing, because you come in, you stay at your site all day, and we might go out and get some wood for a campfire, but besides that, but then I think too, like, all right, we don't know what's going to happen. Do I want to spend the money to go camping this weekend?
Yeah,
because there's so many uncertainties that are going on right now. So we're still
like so much like lockdowns and
and I know
phase and retracting that stuff. Yeah, it's been
like my fall trip to Texas is 99.9% canceled that I take every year, and it's something I deal with. That's fine. I am disappointed that I don't get to go, because that's like the weekend I look forward to every year. That was like devices are off. I'm off the grid. I go and eat my face off with barbecue and hang out with my brother-in-law, and we drink whiskey on the porch, and it's a good time. So we know that's not going to happen. But we had weddings that we were going to go to. Those aren't happening, and all the little things that we were looking forward to just to kind of get away and unplug are canceled. So we're trying to figure out, what can we do? And it's the options are starting to become very limited.
Yeah,
Erie is like a great option, though.
I mean, it worked for us. I mean, I'm sure people are listening to this and maybe might be rolling their eyes that we decided to go to a hotel and check out the pool. But I felt like it was worth talking about just to kind of explain like what our thinking was and kind of what we experienced, and maybe it'll make someone think that maybe it might be the right thing for them, because it is kind of important to break this kind of routine sometimes that can be a little rough.
They've got professionally trained cleaning crews that come into these things. That's how they're still staying open through all of this. It's not going to, it's not your house, but I'm sure all the rooms are getting, I really hope all the rooms are getting cleaned. I mean, at some point you're going to leave your house. I mean, unless it gets really bad up there, Erie's one of the, I can't believe I'm saying this, Erie's one of the safer places to be. As much as I used to dog on it. I mean, you come from there, you dog on it, but yeah, I mean, they're doing stuff right up there.
Yeah, it's been so far so good.
Family, they're like, so how many cases did you have? I'm like, like 233. They're like, we had 4. I'm like, oh, don't come down here then.
Yeah,
you'll be like, I got to wear a hazmat suit. You'll be paranoid coming down here.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just breaking yourself out of that. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, the routine, the funk. We when we were in that school year mode, we were talking about seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Well, I mean, like it feels like the light is getting further away. For a while, it felt like it was getting closer. Now it feels like it's starting to move further away from us, and you're facing this undetermined length of time again. Which can get a little bit intimidating.
And we've hit like stupid little hurdles too, or obstacles along the way for stuff that we've wanted to do. Like, so we bought a bike for my oldest off of Facebook. Great shape, like everything was awesome. But the owner had said, he goes, look, the nut comes off once in a while, so you just have to tighten it. I'm like, okay, that's the nut that holds the pedal on. I'm like, all right, that's fine. Well, it came off again, and he lost it while he was riding it. So I take it to a local bike shop and get nothing but attitude about it because they're so overwhelmed of people wanting to buy bikes and having to repair stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry. My family never really did much outdoor stuff when it came to exercising, like with bikes and stuff like that. But my kids are at the prime age now for bikes. And you're telling me that I need to make an appointment to come in, which is fine. But you're yelling at me about it and telling me that if I want a new bike, it's going to be $700. So, it's little things like that. And then my bike that we ordered online showed up missing parts like nuts, bolts, important things. And that was delayed 6 weeks. And then when we returned it, they said, well, we could get you a new one. I'm like, all right, that's fine. But it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks. I'm like, well, summer's going to be over. I'm not going to have a bike. So it's like when we've tried to actually go out and do things, there's always been a little hurdle here and there, which grand scheme of things, everyone's healthy, so that's fine. But it's like, man, every time we just try to do something, it just adds to that stress level a little bit more. Like, can one thing just go right with this?
Yeah. I mean, speaking of the kids, one other thing I wanted to mention real quick is that my son actually played a baseball game Tuesday night. Obviously the main he's in like the 10 and under league, and they were obviously didn't have their season when they originally scheduled it to happen, but when things started to ease here in Allegheny County and the Pittsburgh area, they decided to give it a go and kind of reorganize the league around the players that they still had available, the ones who still wanted to play and the ones who hadn't kind of already whatever summer plans that they had or whatever things might have prevented. The point is the pool of players kind of dipped a little bit, so they kind of had to reorganize the teams. There were some delays. There was kind of a gap between like the first couple practices and then getting them on the field for an actual game because there was like one person in the league who had contact with somebody who might have had contact with somebody, one of those secondary exposure kind of situations. So they basically, ended up, they shuttered the league for a week. And then they, that period came to an end and they regrouped and they got right back together. And they actually did, they played an actual game on Tuesday night. When you think about, sports for kids, in a situation like this, baseball seems about as good as you could hope for outside of maybe, I don't know, golf, as far as staying away from the other kids. one of the interesting things that they did do, they always have the one umpire. The umpires have been instructed not to touch anything. Don't touch the balls. Don't touch the plate. Don't touch anything. And also to stand not behind home plate, but to stand behind the pitcher's mound, between the pitcher's mound and second base. So they're basically calling strikes from behind the pitcher.
Oh, that's a terrible strike zone.
Well, yeah, well, give or take that. Well, I mean, Doug, I got to tell you a little secret about the umpiring here on this level of baseball. It ain't good. So
both of my boys have played it. I absolutely understand.
Those low strikes getting called, man, it's just drive me crazy. Anyway, but the umpire, I was chatting him up a little bit after the game, and he would tell me, we were specifically told, don't stand behind home plate, stand here in this empty space where there's no child, going anywhere near you. So, I mean, little precautions like that. Outdoor game. Again, some parents may hear this and think, this is, that this is an unnecessary risk. And I don't know, maybe.
No,
from my perspective, I'm happy with that there's limitations on how many parents can come and watch. So you can't bring grandpa, the whole gang. You can only bring one or two people with you to come watch the game. So they're trying to not only limit what the kids are doing and keeping the kids away from each other on the benches and whatnot, but they're also trying to limit the spectators, so there's not too many people in there hanging around. So precautions are there, and hopefully it'll work out. It's nice to see the kids interacting a little bit, a nice little substitute for not seeing each other at school, I think. So it's been all right.
I have to say, one thing that we started doing that really surprised me is, so the boys wanted to go to the Carnegie skate park. And at first I'm like, you want to go to the skate park? Really? And they're like, yeah, we want to go check it out. And I will give everyone that goes there credit. Like, they are awesome with social distancing. At least when we were there, we didn't notice anything different, but the guys who skate, they keep their distance. Everyone, takes it. And this is what I thought was cool too. I have a video that I took of Teaspoon. He's like, shoot a video of me. I'm like, okay. So he would go and the kids would sit there and count like 5 seconds and then they would go. So they were making sure that there was distance between all of them when they were going around. A couple of them were being knuckleheads, but I would say the majority of the kids that were there though, like when they would go, they would let a kid go do his thing and they'd wait till he got back. And so the kid would be like here and then, 6 to 8 feet over here, then the other kid would go. So people could still go have fun. Everyone on the walking tracks kept their distance. Like it was refreshing to see that when all you hear is like doom and gloom about stuff going on outside. And then you actually go see it and like everyone's like keeping their distance here. Others might have a different experience, but I'm just saying from the 2 times that we've gone there, everyone kept their distance. Their parents brought their chairs or they stayed in their cars and everything was fine. Like maybe 6 feet's the closest my kids came to another person, but they all stood back with their helmets on and their pads and talked to each other though, which was kind of cool to see. Like the kids are making the best of it. I think more people need to pay attention to the kids and how they're handling this than, flying off the handle because you read a comment on Facebook about something.
Yeah. The kids, at least my experience with my kids and just seeing a little bit of the other kids over the past week has been that they're receptive to, they're receptive to what they have to do to get through this. They know what they want. They want to get to the other side of this as quickly as possible, and they'll do whatever you want them to do. So that means wearing a mask. My kids have never complained about wearing a mask, and they really never complain whenever I remind them to keep distance from other people and whatnot. Kids are seem kids, resilient, little creatures.
No,
I do it. It's just but I also think that it's hard for them to perceive that the toll that this is sometimes taking on them. So they do get a little cooped up and aggravated with being in the house all day. Maybe they don't realize how many straight days they've spent inside just kind of milling around and playing games and doing next to nothing. But, their bodies understand it, and they know on an unconscious level probably that they, that it's not right, and then you start getting that irritability, and then you have to figure out a way to get them back up to 100%.
One thing that I did do this week, which took a lot for me to finally do it, but I went and had an eye doctor exam because, as you can tell, something is missing from this face.
Oh, so it worked. They fixed them.
They fixed them. I have to go back for a full appointment, but I got the talk. So, have you thought about bifocals? Which
so, Grandpa Doug
made me go, oh. I said, no, and I'm not going to. She's like, well, we've got progressive lenses. I'm like, that would be fine. I go, but I wear a lot of contacts because I'm running around a lot. I'm more comfortable wearing contacts. And she's like, well, we've got these new contacts that basically they act like bifocals. I'm like, I want them. Give them to me. So I'm testing out a pair right now to make sure that they work all right. And everything's been fine so far. But hearing that, have you thought about bifocals? I'm like, oh, I remember my dad having bifocals, and he was so old. Now I've got them.
You don't want to do the bifocals, Doug. What you want to do?
I'm going the progressive lenses.
You want to get yourself about 10 or so shirts with the front pocket on them. And you want to do the two glasses move. The two glasses mode, that's the power mode. So you're like, yeah.
Well, she told me, she's like, so here's your other option. You could get the contacts. We could get you the cheaper contacts, and you could get readers. Or she's like, or you get the more expensive ones that can fix the stigmatism and everything else wrong with your eyes and be bifocals. I'm like, let's do that because I'm going to lose glasses. There's no doubt. Or I'm going to scratch them, or a kid's going to sit on them, or who knows what. I'm like, so let's go for the contact. So I have to go back after like a week or so and let them know how they feel. But what they didn't tell me when I went in, because this is a new eye doctor that I had to go to because insurance changed, stuff like that. They didn't tell me that they were going to dilate my pupils. And I had to leave and get back online because I still had to finish working and working on a report. So
you sitting there with your sunglasses on while you're...
So I put sunglasses on when I left. Thankfully, I had sunglasses in the car, so I could see. I saw to drive perfectly. But I got back to the house. I'm like, I can't see my screen. So then I call my boss and I say, hey, they dilated my pupils. And she just started laughing. She's like, you can't see the screen, can you? I'm like, I can't. She's like, did you get your report done? I'm like, no, I didn't. And it's going to be a while. So she thought that was hilarious. I'm like, I'll stay up and get it done. I go, but I don't know when my eyes are going to adjust. Like, I haven't had my pupils dilated in years, which explains why they did it. But still, it was fun. Really. Eventually, I had my contacts in and everything came back, and I got the report done that I was working on. But I'm like, man, I forgot what a pain in the butt this thing is because I'm holding up my cell phone, like trying to read it.
I can't see anything. Yeah.
I'm like, what's this text say? So my wife gets a hold of me. She's like, what was that text you sent me? I'm like, I don't know. I thought I was hitting the right key. So then I just start hitting the emojis. And
is this like the challenge where they're asking you to type words without close your eyes and type words?
I could do it on a keyboard. I can't do it on a phone.
No, I can't do it on a phone. I could definitely do it on a keyboard. That's easy.
No, but the doctor thought it was hilarious when I'm like, please don't tell me I gotta get bifocals. She's like, you're not that old. I'm like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
And then she looked, she went, oh, well, you're kind of close to me in age. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, and she just kind of changed the subject after that. So
let's talk about something else.
How about those pirates? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had to go to the eyeglass place actually today and just get something fine tuned on these. I never have worn contacts. I'm glasses for life probably. So that's great fun.
Getting glasses again, and I might have to talk to Uncle Crappy about it because he is like the model of glasses. he has got some like awesome specs every time I see him.
Mm-hmm.
And I had mentioned that I wanted to get like the Ricky Vaughn black rim glasses with the skull in the middle. I'm like, if you can find me those, I would wear them, or maybe something with like a squid or something on it. Like, let's get some good looking glasses here, because at some point I've got to get a driver's license renewed.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't renewed. I need to get the picture card. So
yeah, it's always picking those glasses. It's quite the commitment, especially if you're wearing them every day.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Doug, it's getting close to 10 o'clock here on the East Coast, and my oldest child is still wandering my house. That's not a good sign.
You know, mine's doing the same thing right now.
These kids should be in bed.
Pen?
We noticed this.
You have to see this book that we have here too.
Okay.
Just in case you ever need something to strive for in life, we've got the Fortnite 14-page special Guinness World Records Gamers Edition.
Oh, that's very nice. Very nice. 14 pages. Wow.
14 pages,
good amount of pages.
Yes. So it is the 2020 edition, which I'm sure is probably already out of date. Is this already out of date? No, it will be. Wait till the next patch.
You know what? Since we're talking video games real quick, since the PS Plus members got NBA 2K20 this month,
we got it.
I can't believe it. My youngest, he is all about it. He's been playing it a lot, and I have been too. It's pretty fun. So.
We love that game. So we had it on the Xbox, and the biggest issue in our house is that you have it on one platform, you got to pay like the other $70 or whatever to get it on the other machine.
Mm.
And it's funny because we got them as gifts, so it wasn't like I need to have the new PS4 and the Switch and the Xbox. No, it's like when I was laid off, we had a very generous Santa Claus that helped us out.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were playing, we were realizing like, crap, like we got to spend another $70 if you want it on that machine too. So when we saw NBA 2K20 was out, we went nuts because we love that game. Mm-hmm. Since they have the patches, because before, if you hit the green, you'd still miss your shots. Like the ball would skew, slide off. But did you see the commercial for was it the Mamba Forever edition for 2021?
I did hear that the Mamba is going to be on the cover.
The Ultimate Edition, it's like the $100 version of that game. I would have no problem justifying getting that because it looks so. And I was a huge Kobe fan, a huge Lakers fan. Right. Even though Kobe, kicked our butt in state finals. Not that I'm better in high school basketball, but it's just it looks like they really put a lot of heart and soul into this game, especially for his edition. And you've got to. That's why I love the basketball games too, and the sporting games, is because my kids are learning the different sports because of video games. Like they've learned the players. My youngest was telling me about Jimmy Butler. I'm like, who? He's like, Jimmy Butler. Played with Miami, and he starts going off about stats. I'm like, dude, I'm hockey. Like, you're gonna have to teach me about basketball. Like,
I think
hockey and baseball, I get. Like basketball, I'm still learning.
I think playing the show made my youngest a little better at playing baseball in real life, because he actually would have to think about situationally and stuff like that before he would.
That's what happened with the NBA series. Is my youngest figured out moves that he could do in real life that he's tried on the game, and used it this past season and used it to score, which was awesome because parents were like, "Who taught him that?" So of course, I took the credit. I wasn't going to say, "Oh, NBA 2K20 did it." But it's I think the games are a great tool to get especially this generation involved with sports to find out more about it. Yeah. And why it was so great, back in the day too. Like I love that I can play as like the Lakers from the 80s, like the 88 Lakers, or even some of the early Bulls teams.
Yeah. And I know, like going back to the historic teams. That's the first thing I did too, was just go through.
The running joke in our family is, and I'm Bill Cartwright, I know you're probably watching this show, probably Hall of Famer from the Bulls. You're slow in every single game. And my kids know that, because every time he goes down the court, my kids go, Bill. and yell. So if they ever meet this guy, I'm like, guys, that's Bill. And they're like, oh,
Slow Bill.
Bill. What's up with this? So yeah, we love that game though. Like that's fantastic. And the stuff I saw with Awesome Cast with the announcement with, was it X streaming, X console, X whatever they're calling their service there, Service X,
xCloud.
Thank you. I knew it was X.
Oh, thank you.
I'm seriously considering getting that pass now again, because I liked it when we had it for $1 a month, but $14.99 on top of Netflix and everything else that we have. It's kind of tough, but man, that looks really sweet.
It might be worth checking out. All right, Doug. Like I said, my oldest is wandering through the room here.
Mine's on the couch asking for a beer. So
all right, well we better wind this up and take care of that. Doug, thanks a lot for hanging out with us again tonight. It's nice to see you. Mr. Sorg on the ones and twos. Thank you very much for pushing the buttons. And again, sorgatronmedia.com, home to a whole extended family of podcasts that you can check out to help you pass the time while you're locked up in your house. Check out Listen to Your Parents, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We will see you next time. Goodbye for now.